Trump has been an absolute gem. Trump has been so funny that I just can't believe it. He renamed the Gulf of Mexico to Gulf of America. Like, I cannot believe it. That's like walking into a Kentucky Fried Chicken and be like, no, not at all. Not today. This is Tennessee Fried Chicken now. It's a little north. It's not quite spicy enough to be south. It's got to go. Wait, that's the other way. Doesn't matter. But they share a border. It's just as long as the other border that's shared by it. And we're going to rename it. They're both Kentucky and Kentucky other now. But he renamed the Gulf of Mexico as a trade flex, which is great. He's got tariffs coming, which are like, they're going to suck on prices for a bit, maybe. If they actually get fully implemented and have time to really affect the price chain. But the ultimate results of them are going to be, it's leverage. It's leverage against countries that have treated the U.S. like it's not the most important trade partner that they have for far too long. And he's likely going to get what he wants out of these deals. And I'm excited to see it. But more important than any of that, this man has set up fucking political boxing matches against the legislature and the judiciary. And he is aiming to show that presidential power is what I've, like, I talked to him, of course, is what I've been saying for years. It is way bigger than most of us think. Presidential power is something that's not tested typically. We just kind of assume that the president has these limits or doesn't have these limits. But when you go back through history and you look at the president coming up against the judiciary or the legislature, what they come down to is this reality. The president is at least half of the country popular. That's a fucking lot of popularity. That is prom king times at least 1.5, right? Like, the president has somehow gotten half of the voting populace to say, no, I like this guy. That is way more than any of them by a clear mile. And they know it. And they know that behind every vote is a potential gun-toting American who could be pissed. And that is good. That is good. That's a good thing. Everybody is like, oh, not everybody. People have made the idea of a patriot who is armed in defense of himself from tyranny and from foreign and domestic threats. They've made that into a bad thing, but it's not. It's only a bad thing because government is terrified of any number of those getting together and going, you know what? We have tar, we have feathers, we have lampposts, and a whole shitload of twine right in Darwin, Minnesota. The biggest ball of twine in Minnesota is right nearby here. We have a lot of rope, and we have a lot of questions for the people who we pay to rule over us, right? They are terrified of that prospect, and they should be. Now, imagine that one guy is convinced half of those assholes to vote for him. No one else in the country can say that, except for maybe the person who doesn't win the presidency, depending on how close it is. But they don't end up in power. Only the elected president does. The judicial branch has something like 18 guns. The president has something like 200 million. I mean, it's unreal. Congress, all they have are fat and gross old women who trip over their own breasts when they get scared of a peaceful mob or whatever. Trump has set up a fight between himself, the most popular man in the country by many measures, by the only official measure, and a bunch of people who aren't as cool as him. And he's also a billionaire, and he's also got a sense of humor, and he's also catastrophically capable of relating to the everyman in a way that none of them can. Despite the fact that he's so far removed from being that person, aside from his own habits, that it's comical. It's actually one of my criticisms of Trump early on is like, how does this guy claim to represent the middle class and the everyman. I mean, he's been extremely wealthy his entire life. But then, of course, he comes in. He's like, oh, I got this plane, but I've got fried chicken. It's wonderful chicken, beautiful, big buckets, lots of buckets. And he just turns out to be kind of that relatable guy. But he's also incredibly capable of negotiating with strength and confidence, and then delivering the message about his negotiations in a way that is entirely positive, whether he wins or loses. And that's amazing. But this guy, who has everything going for him as far as populism goes, is set up to fight people less popular, and they're going to lose so many of these fights. And I have been just waiting for a president to do it for a long time. And even beyond the sort of beyond my own political opinions, it's like we need a little bit of shakeup in the power structure of who's actually running the country. Because for a while, we had a constitutional republic, and now we have something completely different than that. It involves an administrative state that has way too much authority. And makes law without any actual delegated power to do so. Not that Congress hasn't tried to delegate it. It's that the delegation of that power is or should be unconstitutional. And now you've got a president who says, nope, don't care. Not at all. No. I've seen people try it. They can't do it. They're really not capable. And I'm excited for it. So we're going to be talking about that a lot as we go. I'm really happy Trump won for that reason alone. Let's see some things get shuffled. Especially if they're getting shuffled straight into an El Salvadorian prison, because that's been funny to watch too. You've got a judge who looks like a giant cock. Like this guy, have you seen the judge who tried to stop Trump from deporting these alleged gang members to El Salvador? They have the picture of him. He's posing for a painting because of course he is, because the guy's 158 years old and he's bald and he looks like he eats through his anus for breakfast. That guy, who nobody, really has heard of this guy up until he encounters Donald Trump. He's a district court judge, and he just decides to stop the president. And we saw this in Trump's first term over and over and over. We had a Hawaiian judge stopping the entire U.S. immigration policy that was done specifically, like the way Trump executed his immigration ban. I say immigration ban, but it was what, like 9 Muslim countries, predominantly Muslim countries with high terrorist affiliations. The way he did it was to use the exact language that Congress used to recognize the authority of the president to do this. And then there's jackass in Hawaii, a federal judge, who just kept saying no and stopping it across the entire country. That gets old real fucking fast. And people are getting really tired of it because, again, half of the country, at least, in this case, more than half of the voting country, comes out and says, hey, we want this guy to do some stuff. And then one judge who's unelected, appointed for life, and almost impossible to fire, gets to just say no and muddy up the president of the United States and all of the people that he represents. That does not fly forever. That it can't. It's unsustainable. And so to go ahead and see him challenge the judicial branch, say, no, you don't get to fucking do this, is refreshing. And also, somebody needs to remind these district court judges that they're all Congress's bitch, actually, because they're not in the Constitution, except as to say that Congress has the authority to create a district court system, and they did so, and an appellate court system. But the only one that's constitutionally created is the Supreme Court. And so all of these other people are subservient to Congress and Congress's rules, which means that their jurisdiction, their rulings can be undone by the legislature and, in some ways, the president. He has the power to challenge them. But the main power that he has is the engine of over half of the voting populace being at his back and saying, let's let's move, because our country isn't where it needs to be. And America, let's face it, has not been where it needs to be for a long time. We should be leading the world in everything, and we've backed off on things. We've allowed other countries to catch up for no discernible reason. And we've, in many ways, promoted our own competition to no benefit of the United States, actually to our own detriment. And what we've done with our land and borrowing, again, for reasons that are unclear, when the U.S. is such a resource-rich country, and not just physical resources, but labor and innovative resources as well. We have so much that we just decided not to use, and to instead give to industrializing nations that outpopulate us and will eventually rub out our economy if we're not careful. And once that happens and economic transition occurs and a new global powerhouse takes hold, the U.S. is in real trouble. We need someone like Trump to just take charge and say, no, we're reorganizing. Sorry, some of you assholes are getting fired. I'm bringing in the world's most wealthy autist to figure out which one of your asses needs to be shit canned, and you're all going. You're going. It's just a matter of how long and who's first. So I love it. I've been watching that a little bit. It's been refreshing to see politics that are really exciting and interesting and stand to change the way the Constitution is interpreted. And that's arousing, right? That's a little stimulating. That is what we want to see. We want to see the president take it off, take all that law and restriction off, and let's make it happen, buddy.